We're going to bring into our conversation right now California Congresswoman Sanchez. She's calling us from her office where she is hearing flashbangs outside her window. Congresswoman, how are you?
I'm well, a little bit rattled, and I am not in my office. I am in an undisclosed location in the Capitol complex.
Don't tell us where you are. I want to ask you, Garrett Hake, our correspondent on Capitol Hill, just said none of this is normal. What would something inching more toward normal look like? What should be happening?
Well, as somebody said earlier, the Capitol is not a stranger to protests of all kinds. We have protests, people come to protest at the Capitol all the time. But this is a violent riot where people smashed barriers and glass and wood to storm into the Capitol, where shots were fired inside the Capitol. So this is not a normal run-of-the-mill garden variety protest. This is, in my opinion, a seditious, traitorous act to try to subvert democracy and to try to delegitimize the votes of every American who participated in the last presidential election.
President-elect Biden described it, in fact, as an insurrection. So for those of us watching these images, if it's a seditious act determined or designed to undermine democracy, some people call that a coup attempt, or if it is what the president-elect described it as an insurrection, why do you think the rioters are being allowed to just hang out and take pictures with their phones?
Yeah, that I don't understand. Every single one of them should be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Do you have any ability to, are law enforcement, Capitol Police in contact with you?
They have been providing us with updates throughout the afternoon. We were removed to a secure location with other members, but it was really crowded, and there are still Republican members who refuse to wear their face masks, and so I decided I did not feel safe staying in those crowded conditions, and I have gone to a less safe alternate location, but one where I feel like, I'm in a safer environment. But we continue to receive updates on what is going on. Our work will continue. We will get this work of certifying the Electoral College votes completed. I don't know if that will take place here or elsewhere, but we are bound and determined to do our constitutional duty and to get that job done. But it's really jarring to come into work on a Wednesday to do something that is normally a very just procedural thing that is a hallmark of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power, and to have the events unfold in this way it's astonishing, it's disheartening, it's dangerous. And, as a member, I called my husband last night and I told him that I was coming into work today, but that should anything happen, I let him know where my will and last testament was located in the event that we needed it. And it's a sad day in America when you are trying to come in and do your job in a democracy and you have to think about things like that. I have an 11-year-old son who I want to be around to raise, and people who are, breaking down barriers and bursting into the Capitol and that are armed make it really hard to do that.
I remember on 9/11 calling my dad to say goodbye. That was the only time I ever felt like my life was in danger because I worked in government. Can you tell us why you knew last night that you needed to tell your husband where your will was?
It was just a premonition that, there has been enough nasty rhetoric, inflammatory rhetoric by our president and by others to encourage this mob-like behavior, this riotous behavior. And I just knew that it probably would boil over, and I just wanted to be prepared. I wanted to have a plan. And as I said, having to barricade yourself into a room and put furniture up against the door and, grab whatever objects are handy that can be used as weapons, when you are going into work it's unfathomable to me that would be something that, again, that would happen on a Wednesday workday.
Congresswoman, if you knew last night through premonition or just from watching this president incite his supporters for the last 9 weeks, why weren't the Capitol Police better prepared?
I don't want to play the blame game, and I give the Capitol Police a lot of credit because they have come around to, as I said, check on members and to put us in secure locations. But we had asked questions early on, what were the plans for the protesters, which became rioters, and we were assured that they would have it all well in hand, that they had a plan, that they had contingency plans, and that they, didn't want to give us specifics because they didn't want those specifics to get out somehow to the general public. But I have to say, I'm left scratching my head wondering how did these events just transpire to where, people broke through barricades and once they broke through the barricades that got them onto Capitol Plaza, why wasn't tear gas employed then, or water? In 40-degree weather, I got to believe that if somebody got a thorough soaking, it's non-lethal force, but they sure would be less apt to hang around.